My name is Lily Spinelli, and I'm a licensed clinical social worker.
So what inspired you to become a social worker?
Well, I was always really drawn to the social justice aspect of social work. I knew I wanted to go into some kind of helping profession. A lot of my family's in the helping profession, like teachers or nurses. And I knew I wanted to do some kind of counseling, but what drew me to social work was specifically the more macro and social justice aspect of it, like I said, incorporating that into the counseling field as well.
What is it like helping people?
It's very rewarding, and it can be, stress I think is a natural part of anyone in the helping profession in that field, but it's I think a different kind of stress than a lot of people expect. And specifically me, I've been an inpatient, I've been in PHPs, IOPs, all the different more acute levels of care before coming to outpatient. So the kind of stress that you experience, I think, is more incorporated into like your daily practice. But it's not I tell my clients, right, there's stress that helps us and there's stress that's going to kind of bring us down. So I think that the kind of stress that I'm talking about is more the kind where we get on the client's level, right? We're talking about very serious things, but it's not anything that is going to help bring us down, if that makes sense.
Yeah, with that, clients are going through a tough time and they rely on you, but what do you do to help your own mental health?
For sure. So I'm a huge nerd, actually. So I love video games, I love reading, I love writing, I do some sewing and some costuming, going to conventions, playing games, and then I have a cat at home that loves to snuggle.
I went to a comic book convention, Awesome Con, and I talked to people about how cosplay helps their mental health. How does cosplay help your mental health?
Sure. So it can be, especially when you're working with lots of different populations, you have to wear lots of different shoes, so to speak. So cosplay almost lets you literally put on different shoes. It's also just a good creative outlet. It lets you get to be, showcase a person that you might not be normally. It kind of gives you permission to be a little bit silly and a little bit more creative when we're, in our real life, not really able to have that kind of expression in other cases.
Have you seen your clients' confidence level rise as they go through the process and talk about their emotions?
Oh, for sure, yeah. I think that depending on whether you've been in therapy before, whether this is your first time, just learning skills and being able to use them, showing progress. A lot of therapy is really just emphasizing. I like to emphasize strengths in my approach, so trying to really focus on those and focus on achievements, even if setting goals, it's also so important to set ones that are realistic, right? Ones that are maybe your long-term goal is something a lot, we can make that a little bit more intense or a little bit more, like a bigger goal, but kind of break those down into smaller steps. That way we build that confidence. That's kind of the approach that I take, right? Trying to emphasize that even if it's, I used maybe my anxiety attacks, right? Maybe they decreased a little bit. They're not gone, but they've still decreased. I still want to celebrate that. We're not where we want to be, but we're still making progress towards there. And we're still making progress if I want to take the DBT approach.
What would you say to anyone going through a tough time?
I would say that we are all stronger than we know, or stronger than we think. And I'm always constantly amazed by the resiliency of my clients. The ability to go through hard times, go through hard things, and even though we don't necessarily need those hard times to find our strengths, oftentimes that's what happens, is that it takes going through a really hard time to learn, I do have the ability to get through this, or I do have the skills, to survive this. And I'd say this is going to sound cliche, but every mountain starts out or every molehill starts out as a mountain, right? So we might approach something and it might be the biggest thing that we've ever experienced, the most stressful thing. But once we're past that, maybe that becomes a new molehill for us, that becomes a smaller thing that we've already surmounted. So again, building that confidence to say, I've gotten through hard things before, I can get through this.